Hiya, I'm Zamen, and I want to talk about Persona 3 again. But I don't want to do that alone, so I have called upon another fellow human being. Leovoid, or Kiramaru XVI, the creator behind the Persona 3 movie fan dub project. I used clips from his first movie in my prior P3 video, and then, he kind of agreed to talk to me for some reason. Now, what follows is an interview about how exactly he and his team went about fan dubbing the Persona 3 movies, along with a deeper discussion on the greater meaning of Persona 3. We also got some discussion on Naoki Urasawa's monster in there too, so please enjoy. So hiya, glad to have you here in the program.
I'm glad to be here, thank you.
Yeah, so please introduce yourself. Yeah, cause what do I call you?
Well, I know that you know me by Kiramaru XVI from the Persona Project movie, but I often go by Leovoid now, as I have opened up another channel where I do anime analyses. Not to say that I gave up on my voice acting channel. If anything, we're actually almost finished with the second movie, and that should be uploaded. I don't want to give an exact date. We still need lines. We still need a lot of voice actors to finish up their lines, and that it should be up sometime this year for sure.
Damn, okay, just take away my 10th question, alrighty.
Oh, well, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's alright.
So yeah, you can call me Leovoid, Kira, Kiramaru, whichever one. I've been called most of those things, so.
Alrighty, I guess I'll just go with Leo then, because that's simple.
Yeah, everybody calls me Leo nowadays too, yeah.
Alrighty, so let's get started with this interview type thing.
Yes, let's.
Yeah, so for starters, as an opener, when did you first play Persona 3? And what was your experience with it? Because I think that just shapes how the rest of this discussion's gonna go.
So, funny story about that. So, in the end, I'm gonna relate a lot of my experiences with the movie because it just kind of wraps around the whole thing. So, in the end of the movie, I gave credits or special thanks to people in the credits, and one of them was a friend of mine named Luis Vega. When I was in high school, I believe I was in my junior year of high school, I was talking with my classmate, who was Luis Vega, about video games, and he recommended me the Persona 3 video game for the PS2. I never even heard of it at this point, but I was playing games like the Tales of the Abyss, Tales of Vesperia, Star Ocean, a lot of RPGs, obviously Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. And I have never ever heard of Persona 3 before. So he let me borrow Persona 3, and I was very into it at first, but for some reason his disc was very scratched up and I couldn't get any further than a certain point in the game, and then I had to stop playing it. It wasn't until I got a PS3 where I bought Persona 3 and Persona 4, and I decided to play through Persona 3 completely this time. And I remember, I'm sorry, I might be divulging into another part of a question you might have about the ending of the game, but just let me know when I should stop.
Keep going.
So, there was, not to get all sappy here, but when I was playing Persona 3, it was a relatively darker time of my life. It was probably one of the worst times of my life. I'm not trying to divulge into that information. Sorry, not trying to make this all dreadful, but
Nah, we're talking about P3 here. We're talking very positive, cheery things, yeah.
No, for sure. So, I would say that Persona 3 came at a very, very good time for me, where I felt more connected to the character and the game than I ever could have if I played it at any different part of my life. So when I beat the game and I saw the ending, I just walked. I think I was maybe 18, 19 at this point, and I just walked into my mom's room and I just started crying. I was like, "Mom, I just played this really good game, man, and it's so good. You gotta play it." She never played it anyway, but I was absolutely floored. I was crying my ass off because of how good or how impactful the ending was. And then the answers came out, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I started crying again.
Oh, damn, yeah, that kind of covers my experience too, because I had that same crying experience at the end of the game too.
Oh man, when you hear Kimi no Kyoku, bro,
oh yeah, no, when
it sealed the deal.
Ooh, no, when Ike says like the meaning of life can be something small, I felt that so hard.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I even went and talked to my mom right after that too, because I went to go tell her, thank you for giving birth to me. As weird as that was to tell her. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. That's so adorable.
Like, it was also at a very dark point in my life.
I feel like every Persona 3 fan has that in common.
Oh my Christ. Yeah, though I emulated it. If I recall correctly, like, I know I got through the first, because I played in the redraw, I played through half of the answer first, and then played Persona 3.
What? How could you do that?
Because like when I hit the menu, because when I didn't hear Persona 3 at all. So when I got the game on like the emulator, it said like don't play the answer. That's for experienced players first. And I was like, I'm good at RPGs. I can play RPGs good.
Yeah, it really wasn't designed well for. I mean, I guess if you played the original Persona 3 and you bought FPS, it might make sense for you to just have access to the answers right from the get-go, but for newer players, I feel like it would have been better if it was unlocked after you beat the game. And if you let's say you played the original P3, if you had like a completed file on your memory card, I think that should automatically unlock the answers for you. But again, that's all in retrospect. I remember when my friend gave me the game, he gave me a stern warning. He was like, "Do not go to the answers. Don't do it." I made sure to never touch it, and I'm very, very glad I didn't. Until I didn't, obviously.
Thankfully, though, I didn't understand what was going on in the answer at all.
I mean, they drop a major bombshell, like, right in the very beginning.
Yeah, well, they say that, like, he died. They never say his name, they just say he died.
Spoiler alert!
Oh, yeah, spoiler alert, yeah. Oh, my bad.
Well, obviously, we're going to be talking about spoiler territories here anyway, so...
yeah, spoiler alert for the rest of this video that we'll talk about something vaguely Persona 3 related.
For sure.
Alrighty, so question 2. What are your actual thoughts on the movies?
So, I believe I conveyed most of my... part of my thoughts about the movies in your video. So, as far as the... direction in which the movie was taken, I do think that it could have been done better, but I still think it was done pretty good. I do appreciate the fact that Persona 3 was made into movies, then made into a series, because you can see the quality differences when you compare them to, say, Persona 4 and then Persona 3. Because they're movies, they have a lot of care put into them. There's a lot of, high-end quality animation stuff going on with the movies that you probably wouldn't have gotten if it was a series. But at the same time, I think because it was a movie, they were very restricted with time, that they couldn't fit, or they weren't at liberty to have a sense of creative freedom that they would have if they decided to expand the movie or the series more so than the time that they had. Because obviously I believe they went through 4 movies because it kind of generates the whole seasonal years. Like, there's the fall, winter, spring, and summer, those kinds of things.
Yeah, they really stretched out summer.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think that because of those time constraints, there's a lot of things that could have been improved upon from the source material that they didn't really have a chance to do. I feel like the example given is that I feel that if we were given more information or dialogue or more personable dialogue between each character, like not even just Makoto, maybe even Yukari, Mitsuru, Shinji. I think Shinji could have used a bit more.
Shinji and Ken got enough. It's Mitsuru and Yukari who really got nothing.
Oh no, I absolutely agree, but I feel like the moment in the second movie would have been much more impactful if we delved more into like the regret of Shinji and what his inner thoughts behind that was. Sure, we got more of Shinji than possibly any other character in this movie, right? Possibly. Yeah. Besides the main character.
Yeah, Shinji had a lot of it, surprisingly.
But I feel that if instead, for lack of a better term here, if it just allowed these moments to just stew so that it could be stronger, then just let it happen. Because, you know, they have a time slot to fill, or not a time slot to fill, but they have a restricted time space here that they need to squeeze a whole entire arc into essentially one movie. So I understand why they couldn't, but I just wish they could have. But other than that, movie's great. Would I say that it's the recommended way to experience Persona 3? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
I think
no.
Persona 3 works better as a medium for of a video game more so than it can be as a movie. So when you play a video game and it gets adapted into an anime, it's very, very hard to adapt it faithfully or even make it good, because it's always there's always it's hard for me to explain this, but when you adapt a video game into an anime, there's like so many things about it that just doesn't really sit well in an anime form or the anime medium. It's hard to explain, but I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, games just like in general just like give you like that chance to get a bunch of a character at multiple times with like small interactions that just builds up constantly, as opposed to a show where it's all got to be like, you know, very directed, like big moment after big moment.
Yeah, I think the reason is that with games like Persona, where when you're playing it, you have an entire world to explore and interact with, right? So it is at your leisure when you want to experience the world and when you want the world to unravel itself to you. But when you're watching it in an anime, you're kind of being taken on a ride. You're experiencing what the series is telling you to experience, versus when you're playing a game, it sort of feels like you're in a world. You're experiencing the world for yourself, and you can do whatever you want. You basically have freedom to experience the game as you see fit, whereas in an anime, it sort of has to be like, I guess that's sort of my complaint about the movie, is that it has to fit a time slot that you have to digest in just 24 to maybe even an hour and a half, depending on if it's an episode or a movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about this more later, because I got another question about this later on.
Yeah, of course. Go right ahead. I tend to go on tangents a lot, so sorry.
No, it's fun. I'm here for this. I'm here to hear your go on and on about whatever.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Question number 3 here. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about the movies, right? Your dub with the movies, real quick.
Oh,
my
great.
First question. Yeah, my first question was, were you always gonna play Makoto, or is that just something that happened out of necessity?
So, at the risk of sounding pretentious, I was always going to be Makoto. Like, if I am mixing this movie and I am directing it, I'm going to play whoever I want. Like, you know, but but all jokes aside, with projects, right? With any kind of project that I do, I am very, very, very critical on that. I'm very critical with everything I do. So, if I were to say, well, I did do the movie. So if I felt like my voice wasn't a good fit for a character like Makoto, for example, I wouldn't do it. Basically, primarily because I want the end product to be as high quality as I possibly can. That's the entire reason why the project was entirely done by me. Like I mixed the audio, the sound effects, I casted everybody, I handpicked them personally. I hate to say this, but even when I was directing the movie, I'm not sure if you watched the trailers before the movie, but you might have noticed that Mitsuru's voice actor was changed from the first 2 trailers to the finished product.
We were expecting you to arrive earlier. My name is Mitsuru Kirijo. I live in this dorm.
I'm Takaba.
We were expecting you to arrive earlier. My name is Mitsuru Kirijo. I live here in the dorms.
And that's because, that's because I had to make some cuts. There were some stylistic choices or performances that I feel like didn't meet my expectations, and so I had to cut them off, or I cut them from the project. And it was really, really hard for me to do because I hate being the guy that brings bad news or lets somebody down. But because I am extremely critical on my work, I have to do it if I want my work to be good in my eyes. Because if one thing isn't good, or if one thing isn't holding up like the rest, then it's just going to make me feel like this isn't the best that it can possibly be, right? So in regards to was I always going to be Makoto, I chose myself to be Makoto because I felt that my voice matched the character. Honestly, I feel like my voice is sort of semi-medium, high medium, to where I can voice characters like that. Like I can't voice Shinji or Takaya or Akihiko, so I'm at least able to put myself in a range that I know that I'm able to be in. I'm not pretentious enough to say, oh yeah, I can voice Mark Hamill's Joker or Batman or whatever. I can't. I'm not that pretentious.
No, you just know your strengths.
So, and in regards to voicing Makoto, a lot of when I first uploaded the project, a lot of people had this opinion that my voice acting for Makoto was lifeless.
Does it matter?
Huh?
Is dying really that frightening?
Yuki-kun.
But that was entirely the choice, because I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense for what he's like in this movie. He talks like he never says more than like 8 words at once.
I mean, believe me. So if you ever watched the first 2 trailers, you will see that my lines for Makoto is entirely different sounding from how it was in the movie.
I'm Takaba.
Yuki Makoto. Yuki Makoto. It's nice to meet you.
The co-director of the project, Earth Trap, who right at the moment is now a professional voice actor. Congratulations to him. Me and him were actually when the project was finished and we watched it. He's the one that said you need to redo all of your lines. He said, you need to redo all of it, and I was like, wow. I mean, yeah. He's like, you need to be more lifeless. You are speaking. There's too much emotion being conveyed to you right now, and Makoto isn't that kind of character. And I absolutely agreed with him. So we had to sit in the lab for like 20, and I mean like we basically were in a call together just like you and I, except I was in my recording booth, trying to get it down. How do I make this character sound as lifeless as I possibly can, right? So like I had to do some had my shoulders slouched, my back is hunched over, like I just didn't care about life. And my mouth, when I usually talk, I always make sure I'm smiling when I'm talking, and I'm over enunciating everything I say. But when it came to Makoto, I had to basically barely open my mouth so that I can just go Yuki Makoto, it's a pleasure to meet you. Like those kinds of that lifeless. I don't even think I can replicate how I did it back then. But is dying really that frightening? I still feel like I put more emotion into that line, but it was harder than it was harder than most people think. So I definitely had to reiterate to everybody, I'm like, this was how we chose it to be. I know when you hear voice acting, you expect it to be believable and whatever, but I mean, if you think he sounds lifeless, I guess it's believable, right? Maybe I am a good voice actor.
It was great. I loved how he did his awakening, the slow and quiet purr. So, nah.
yeah, because in that particular moment, and even in the moment in the final battle of the movie, there's this subtle crescendo of his emotions that appears in bursts, right? So obviously in this very moment, like you said in your video, Makoto isn't necessarily a bad guy. He's just despondent to life itself, or to his life in general, because he doesn't see a point in being alive, or he doesn't see a reason to fear death if at the end all you're going to do is die anyway. But that doesn't mean that he wants people to die, right? So in that moment in the rooftop, he is experiencing I I guess you can say PTSD, right? He's experiencing some form of PTSD because he's recalling the moments, hazily recalling the moments when his mother was dead and where that ideology of his gave birth, right? His original ideology of, I would even say is borderline nihilism, right? Because he thinks that there's nothing worth living for and that all things are meaningless. Why should I fear that? But when he sees Yukari about to get bodied, it's just, oh, I gotta go save her. So in this very moment, he is expressing some emotion, but albeit just a little bit. So when he says persona, that's when like he is ready to fight. There has to be some sort of emotion being conveyed. Like the emotion that he has kept trapped within himself has to come out in small bursts, right? So that's why when in the end of the movie, like, you know, when Pharos goes, you know, oh, if you don't do nothing, everybody's going to die. And then Makoto responds with, they'll die. Like questioning it, like, they'll die? Like what do you mean? And then he realizes, yeah, and then he realizes the ramification of that, and then he says, "They'll die." Like, then he realizes it. Then he expresses some form of like, what's the emotion I'm thinking about here?
What, concern?
Like, yeah, concern, not regret. We're gonna go with concern here, because. And then when he goes and saves them, that was when we decided, me and the co-director decided, like, this is the moment where some form of emotion needs to be expressed, more so than the beginning. So if you notice, like when Makoto drives in there with a motorcycle and says persona, it's said with enthusiasm. Morpheus! Or when he says Jack Frost, or whatever, you know, everything has a bit more emotion. So in the second movie, when this is like 10 years ago when we decided, I'm still deciding it now. We decided to have Makoto have a bit more emotion, not just in the voice acting itself, but especially in the dialogue. I believe there's a moment when they're on the beach. Hold on, let me pull up my script, actually. Give me a second.
Ooh, inside scoop. Oh my god.
I actually have a few things that I've kept. I probably shouldn't open this Chrome account because there's like a fucking 200 tabs open. Let me go on this
Oh
one.
god, you're one of those too.
Oh yeah. Even at my job, I have like 200 tabs open.
Look, I'm sure they're all important.
I mean, well, I only go on like 3 of them. So, I wrote this script 10 years ago. So when we uploaded the first project, it got taken down because of copyright, and a few of the voice actors left the project or couldn't continue the project, and that led to the eventual hiatus of the project. I would say cancellation, but we brought it back. So there's that.
Hiatus, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously I'm rewriting some things here right now. I'm almost done rewriting the script. But for example, in regards to Makoto, so like I remember somebody mentioned that why didn't I keep the personal space line from the first movie? That makes a re-entry in the second movie. Because I think when Junpei's in his face, he's like too close, or like personal space, or like
Yeah, he says in the background a lot.
Yeah. So now I always kept it as okay, like, because he's obviously annoyed that Junpei's just in his personal space, right? But in the scene in the second movie when he slaps Junpei, that's when he says it. I think it's the beach scene that I'm talking about here, when they are having fun, trying to flirt with girls or something. And in the original sub, Makoto says, "Operation failed," like, when they're all depressed on the beach before they see Aigis. But here we have him say like some operation, like because it ends in total failure. It's a little sarcasm, yes. There's a scene. I think you talked about the scene quite often in your video, so I'm gonna bring this up here as a little sneak peek, right? So when Yukari leaves the Kirijo Manor and Makoto and Yukari are at the beach, where is it? Like, it might not have meant anything to you, Takaba, but it did to me. It's never a dull moment when I'm with you and the other, so I don't think it's all bad. This kind of thing can be quite fun. Is that how you say it? So I believe you mentioned that Makoto is sort of socially awkward, right? So obviously,
that just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, it is, right? But this is a moment where Makoto's change is subtly coming out and people are beginning to notice it. But he doesn't know how to properly express that. So that's why he says, this kind of thing can be quite fun. Is that how you say it? Should be an indication that he is going out of his comfort zone to try and express something deep within himself. And in response, we have, in the original, I believe Yukari said, like, what does that mean? Like, you know, you sound stupid or something. Like, she calls him a dummy or whatever.
Yeah.
But and here we have her say, you know, can be quite fun, reiterating what he said earlier, like, seriously, and then says, you've changed. So I think from this movie onwards, I'm trying to write the script in a way to where the subtle changes that Makoto goes through is more indicative with the dialogue than it is just by watching it. Because I feel that a lot of issues with the movie is that, and this could be a translation thing, right? But I feel like a lot of the issues with the dialogue is that it doesn't convey the information properly enough that we should be getting. So, like, if Makoto is changing, people should be able to pick up on those things, especially Yukari. I feel like this is a perfect moment for Yukari to pick up on those things. I kind of feel like in the sub, this part was kind of a botched moment because in the first movie, Yukari was one of the only ones, actually, to pick up on the fact that Makoto doesn't give a shit about anything, right?
Yeah, she yells at him for it.
Yeah, she literally gets angry at him about it. So for him to have this moment with her, and for her to not at least be reflective of that, is kind of a missed opportunity for me. So I feel like with the script here, I'm having a lot of fun with the liberty of changing it up just a little bit. Not so much that it changes the source material, but that it kind of makes it a little bit more lush, not flourished, or more organic, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yes. I forgot what this question was about, but I think I'm done talking now.
well, since you got the scripted, let's go into the next question, which is how exactly do you go about translating the movies? Because like as we've been talking about right now, there's a lot of verses, there's a lot of lines in the subs where it's just like really awkward and sounds like stilted. The dialogue sounds stilted.
So I would need to pull up the movie. Give me 1 second.
A few moments later.
So let me find a line that I really had to like match the lip flaps to. So to answer the question firstly is that I'm also half Japanese, so I tend to understand what the dialogue is speaking of even without reading the subs. But translating it doesn't necessarily mean that that's how it always has to be, because you have to match the lip flaps of the characters, otherwise it's not going to work. Actually, we can actually even bring up the first movie. Let me open up this again. I want to go to this scene in Japanese first. So this scene, right? I had a lot of fun translating this scene. So this part right here, where you get a close-up of Junpei's like mouth. Right here. So when it's a close-up of his mouth, notice that it puckers, his lips pucker 3 times exactly. Do I need to fast forward it a little bit? Here we go. Right?
Wait, yeah.
So that was when I had a lot of trouble trying to find a line that works for that scene. Until, I think... Oh, wait. Where is it? Here we go.
Hey.
You can hear the audio, right?
Yep.
That she saw the 2 unconscious girls from Class E here at school late at night. After hearing that, which conclusion do you think I drew from this?
See, like, it matches the lip. Like, we had the Drew, which conclusion do you think I drew from this? So we have to match the the lip flaps. It's difficult, but it's doable. So yeah, basically how I do it is I have the movie playing, I look at the lip flaps, I write like a general line of what I want it to be, and then based on the lip flaps, I refine it to be what I wanted or what will fit in the movie itself. Because obviously we can't have like a karate martial arts flick from the 80s where somebody's just talking and their lips are moving and they stop talking, you know. So yeah, that would be the process of how we translate or script out the movie. There's also some like do I call it not cultural issues, but cultural differences in regards to how humor works, like from Japanese to English. And I feel like I kind of dropped the ball very heavily on that in the first movie. Let me pull up the first movie one more time. So this scene, let me lower it down a little bit. Right around here. So this fucking part made me cringe. I will say that one thing I regret about writing the script in the Persona 3, the first movie, is that I definitely rushed it. I didn't give it enough time to properly think, does this make sense? I was just in a hurry to complete it because I wrote the script, I had to mix the sound effects, I had to direct and cast everybody, I had to direct every voice actor. It was all done by me. So I'm ashamed to say that the scripting was definitely one that I didn't really give enough attention to that I really should have. Because when I look at it again, especially this scene, it really doesn't fucking make sense to me. How Makoto says you chained your face to your nose so you wouldn't lose it or something. Like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean?
What does that mean?
I know, but that's what the translation said. That's what the translation said, right? I'm gonna play it just because I want to cringe. Although I will admit, I had a lot of this part I had a lot of fun scripting because I felt like my truest self was expressive here with how I talk. When, you know, the thugs were just like, you have a little too much spunk, bitch, you know, whatever. Because I talk like that with my boys, I talk like that in video games, not necessarily in a professional setting. So I'm just like, yeah, with the main characters, we have to be like really, really like, you know, proper and firm. But with them, they're just like, bitch, the fuck you talking about? So I was like, I'm gonna have so much fun writing this part. Like,
speak from the soul.
You got some spunk. I like that.
Hey, are you crazy? Are you trying to get us killed or something?
Are you afraid? Well, don't. They're just punk scum anyway.
Perhaps you have a little too much spunk, bitch.
We're sorry. She didn't mean anything by it. She's just a girl.
You got something to say too, punk?
She's really a nice girl.
That's smart.
Huh?
You chained your ear to your face so you wouldn't lose it.
that's like the one thing I regret about this fucking movie. Man. So anyway, in regards to that, now that, you know, I'm a little older and I have a better idea of like how to properly write stuff now, there is a part in the movie that I felt was difficult to express in English. So let's go to the Midsummer Night Dream movie. Midsummer Night Dream. Sorry if this question is going a lot longer than you thought.
No, it's fine. No, I'm here for this.
It's right here. So the thing that's really peculiar about this scene is that a lot of the humor only works if you understand the culture behind the normal Japanese person, right? So, and again, you could argue with this with Americans or like any other culture, but it doesn't necessarily ring as true, or the humor doesn't necessarily ring as true because it's not the same as Japanese culture. So here, obviously this scene is funny because Aigis is in his room watching over him, waking him up. This is a very, very, I wouldn't necessarily say controversial because that's too extreme of a word, but I'm gonna say it anyway because the Japanese people are very, very closed off, and reserved. So like they're so reserved to the point that parents don't usually tell their kids that they love them, right? So having a girl in your room is kind of a big fucking deal. Like it's like, oh, you're doing something completely unethical here. Like they're obviously alluding to like sex. You don't even need to have sex. If you're in a room alone with somebody, that's fucking really not weird, but that's like really immoral, right?
Disgusting,
like,
repulsive even.
Yeah, repulsive. Like, how dare you? Now you can never get married. You hear that joke in animes all the time. No, I can never be a bride, whatever. So this scene was kind of hard to translate towards a dub because it doesn't necessarily make too much sense in the perspective of American culture, right?
無事に起床しましたね。任務完了であります。
どうしているの？
5分前行動という標語が貼ってあったので、目覚ましの5分前に起こしてみました。
じゃああと5分寝る。
ダメであります。
ごめん、ちょっといい？
誠さん、起きるであります。
So right here, you would normally probably think to yourself, well, why would somebody open somebody else's door if they're knocking anyway? Like it doesn't make much sense, right?
Yeah, why didn't he lock his door?
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, I guess unlocked it. But
right,
but more importantly, if you, as an American, right, why would you knock on the door and then open it? That's like grounds to get your ass kicked. Like, you don't just knock on the stranger's door and then just open that shit. You gotta just be like, wait for them to answer. But for Japanese, it's different because if the door is locked, then that means that you're not allowed in. But if the door is unlocked, then that means that anybody can come in, at least to the entrance. That doesn't mean that they can just walk into the house, although some people do. So it's strange for Makoto to have the door unlocked and be sleeping because it really shouldn't be a time where anybody could come in or whatever, or at least be decent enough. So when Yukari walks in here and she's having this moment with Aigis, like, what are you doing in here? Like, this is a completely unethical thing to do. The humor behind it is that Aigis is a robot and she doesn't understand, like, the standards or like the ethical, or like what's ethics behind society, right? She is completely withdrawn from that. What's so wrong with her being in a room with the person that she wants to protect? But Yukari is thinking about it like, you're a girl, Makoto's a guy. That's what's wrong with it, right?
この程度のドアなら会場に2分もかかりませんでした。ダメであります。誠さん、作戦室に行ってって言ったでしょ。あんた聞いて。朝起きたらいないからみんな大騒ぎだよ。今後私の待機場所はここが良いかと思いますが、何か。何言ってんのよ。
So like there, when she says like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, the blush. Yeah.
Yeah, the blush here. I'm gonna play this part right here, just his one. I did change this line here just because. Sounds like they're all getting along. That's great. That's great. Anyway, so in the dub that we're doing, we changed it to where, like, that's breaking and entering. Yukari says this to Aigis. I proposed that the most acceptable place for me to be was right here in his room with him. So in the original, Aigis says to her, I propose to be on standby in this room from now on. Is this acceptable? But that's not what she says. Or she does say it, but how can I fit that in just 3 lip flaps? Nanika, right? Nanika. Or even just 2 lip flaps. It's 2 lip flaps. So I proposed that the most acceptable place for me to be was right here in his room with him. That's the focus, is with him. And that's what makes Yukari blush. Because Japanese culture, it doesn't like to be so direct. If you're talking with somebody and somebody says, I love him, that's like, oh my god, you actually said that, kind of deal. So we changed the line to "What are you talking about?" to "That's not acceptable at all," right? So it's a little bit more understandable why she's blushing here versus how it was in the sub. And real quick, just what you said. In the scene prior, I'm pretty sure you're familiar. Yukari had a big blow up with Mitsuru after finding out that her father was like the cause of everything. Instead of Shuji saying they seem to be getting along, I changed it to she seems to be rather lively again. What a relief in regards to that Yukari seems to be happier or much more lively than they expected her to be after finding out such a harsh truth, right? So a bit of a personal choice on that. I'm having a lot of fun changing some things up. So I think expect some things to be different, probably for the better, but that's up for your opinion. That's subjective. I think it's for the better because it kind of adds a little bit more, not information. I guess it kind of like adds a little bit more.
I think it just conveys what's happening better. It just conveys what's happening easier.
No, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, again, going on a tangent here. You can go now. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, yes, we're talking about script writing. Let's talk about how was directing, because like how much of a nightmare was that? Since you apparently did so much, like so much.
Oh man, I actually might have some videos here. Let me see.
Videos?
Yes. So when I had this idea, like when I tell you I went full on with the project, like I did go pretty full on with it. I wanted to do like a whole behind the scenes thing and like get like videos of like recordings being done, how the sound effects were made. I just actually need to find it. Give me one second.
Jesus Christ. You just want you just want to be crushed, Christ. You willingly hopped in the hydraulic press. Oh my god.
Oh man,
A few moments later.
Found it. There we go. Alright, so I don't know what happens here. I haven't watched these videos in so long, but let's see what happens. That's me. I was like 21 at this point.
God, a baby.
Look at my edge hoodie. Look at my edge hoodie. Ugh. I think, what did I do here? Let me fast forward a little bit. Okay, so there is a scene in Persona Spring of Birth.
Wait, what? Search here Persona stuff.
I think that's a sponsor video. I forgot to turn on ad block.
Yo, Harbor Freight. All right, then I'll hit them up soon.
All right. Right here. So when he puts the suitcase down and opens it, right? That was this video right here. So you see that thing to the left? That's a microphone. There's also a reflection filter behind the microphone. So a lot of the sound effects were created like by me, like really by me. A lot of the cloth movements, a lot of the footsteps, some things. I'm not gonna say everything was. So that's me recording it on my shitty ass PC. Oh, I still had braces on. Oh my god. Okay, so
a kindred spirit, I see then.
I think this is me actually recording the sound effect here. Don't mind the mess, by the way. I was a young boy.
So, disclaimer. I messed up. While this time I managed to record Discord audio real good, I kinda sorta forgot to adjust my Discord media slider, since I usually keep it at like 1%. So like, yeah, the little videos that Leovoid shared are gonna sound super quiet. I tried repairing it, but it kinda made it worse and added this buzzing noise. But at least now you can kinda hear what they're saying in the video if you like listen hard enough. I apologize, I am still learning how to video. gosh, that's satisfying.
Right? I had to get it like really close to the microphone just to get it. So you see how it's recording on my screen right now? I use that sound effect or that file for that sound right there. I think this is another video with me and the old crew. Of course, pretty good question. All right, somebody say something about the project, I guess. So, Dan Dubs was Junpei. Earth Trap was Pharos. Soname, I believe he was the original Mitsuru. Retro Arcade Monkey is Igor, and Heroic Roxas is Akihiko. For some reason, the camera is really focused on Heroic Roxas' picture icon face, and then Retro Arcade Monkey's icon. Why isn't it playing? What are they even talking about? Why are we talking? We're all kids. Again, sir? Oh god. No wonder why I sound like that. I have braces on still.
Oh, that's how you sound more introverted. You were in character.
What happened here? Alright, so that's all the clips I have of that. So that's kind of how it went. Okay, so the question was, how was directing it, you said? I'm sorry?
Yeah, how was directing? Yeah, it's a very vague question here, because I don't know any directing terms.
Yeah, so directing it was very, very difficult, because you are essentially the controller of the entire project. And I don't even mean just, well, for me, I had to mix the project, like I said. I had to cast everybody. So we had hundreds and hundreds of people auditioning for the project. And
oh, wow.
I had to go through all of those auditions. Some of the characters I handpicked myself. Retro Arcade Monkey, our Igor, was actually 13 years old at that point. Can you believe it?
Welcome back to the Velvet Room, young man.
Damn, okay.
13. And he did Igor. He was like, I'm just some 13-year-old. And I'm like, huh, okay. I want to audition for Igor. I'm like, what? No, you're not. And then he just said one line. And I said, I need you for my Igor. Like, I need you to be my Igor.
Damn, good for him.
I doubted him, absolutely. But we still talk to this very day, actually. He's a bit of a spoiler. He's going to be in the project still. So there's that.
Ooh.
So yeah, how hard was directing the movie? It was pretty difficult because sometimes I had to tell people to redo their lines. There were times where I had to schedule one-on-one sessions with people, like Yukari, for example. Yukari. So everybody else in this project is a very experienced voice actor. Like at that point, I was voice acting for maybe 10 years at that point, and everybody else that I was voice acting with was with me the entire way. So these are people that I've known for 10 years, and I've seen them grow, and I've seen them improve, and this, that, and the third. But our Yukari is a different story. Yukari doesn't voice act much at all. She just recently got into it, but me and her were good friends even before that. And I really wanted her to be a part of the project because I've seen her voice. I feel like her voice is very suitable for Yukari. Not just more. I feel like who voices Yukari in the original? Is it Michelle Ruff? I think it's Michelle Ruff. Yeah, Michelle Ruff. So she voices Yukari, and I chose. I forgot what we called her in the cast, but our Yukari. I chose her because I felt that Yukari's character had a bit more of insecurity about her than she is being all, like, her voice in the English felt more outgoing and like poppy than what we chose to have. So Yukari's a bit more reserved, unconfident, and insecure. And I chose that for her because she was able to convey that very well. But again, because she was a beginner voice actor, I felt like I was the harshest with her. I say harshest. I'm not trying to say like I was like, you better do these lines or you're cut. Nothing like that. It was more so like I had to really work with her to get those lines to be more involved with her recording process than anybody else. But it turned out very, very well. And honestly, she's one of my favorite performances. I feel like her voice for Yukari, she really owned it. She really owned Yukari. But Junpei, oh my god. Junpei, he made that character his bitch. Let me tell you.
He's the man.
He's the man. I'm really sad that he's not going to be Junpei for the next movie. But let me tell you, he was the best in that movie, in my opinion.
Okay, well that's just my that's just one of my questions, which is going to be: did you have a favorite vocal performance?
Oh yeah, Junpei, 100%. 100% it was Junpei. If I wasn't going to be Makoto, I would be Junpei. But Dan Kotori, who was Junpei in the original movie, blew it out of the fucking water. He was the shining moment of that entire movie for me. I remember the scene where Junpei was on the train and he realized that he was going to die and he charges into his death and he's like screaming. When Dan sent me those lines, I was so absolutely floored that I had to just message him and call him, and I said, Dan, he's like laughing all nervously. He's like, what? I'm like, Dan, that was fucking amazing. Like that was amazing. And it was, and then when I put it together, I had to get him into a call with me, and I said, you need to see this. You need to see this. It is so fucking good. I can't believe how good you did. Like, dude, it's so good. And I tell him this like almost once a year. I tell him this. I'm like, you remember that train scene in Persona 3? Yeah, man, you did great. Like,
I kind of want to go watch that scene real quick.
Oh yeah, I'll pull it up for you. Give me a second. Right here.
No.
Amazing.
I don't know how to describe. There's so many emotions in that scream. There's so much.
I know. It's so good. It's so good. Like when people, so like how like in regards to like directing it, when people do good, I let you know you did good. I will let you know. I'm like, dude, amazing stuff. Amazing. Like I will gush. I will fucking gush and shower you with love, praise, whatever the fuck you need to let you know that you did great. I will let you know. And in that moment, I was so fucking happy that he was my Junpei. I was so ecstatic that he was my Junpei. It was great.
Alright, yeah, I guess that covers directing then.
Yeah.
Oh, you went above and beyond. Alright, so let's go on to my next question I got here. Yeah, because you said you had a few gripes with these films. Like you mentioned that you thought that these movies were. You said that you wish these movies were directed in a way that we could see what was in Makoto's head. Like, what exactly do you mean by that?
So, a good comparison. What's a good comparison to make this to? Have you ever watched Vinland Saga?
Yes, I actually have.
Have you watched season 2?
No.
Okay. So, is that really? Let me see if I can think of another example. Okay, you watch all of Attack on Titan, right?
I have indeed, yes.
Okay, so you notice how there is like a complete disconnect with Eren Yeager from seasons 1 through 3 and then into season 4?
Oh yeah, because we're not following his perspective anymore.
Exactly, but why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that there is such a huge controversial issue with the ending of Attack on Titan?
Oh, you're talking about the fact that people were yelling that Eren what felt like a little bitch in the final chapter?
Well, yeah, there's that, but I think in the grander scope of it is that people don't know why he did what he did. right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's very muddy, it's very confusing because he doesn't give a direct answer, and like there's never a sit down moment or like there's never a monologue of him saying what he's doing like there was in previous seasons.
So like a lot of that a lot of that could be resolved if we just knew what was going on inside of Aaron's head, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we were given a moment where like we were like if the entire season 4 was in Aaron's perspective, the ending would be completely painted in a different picture, right? So when you compare Aaron from season 4 to season 1 and 3, it's very different because in seasons 1 through 3, we are experiencing the story in his perspective. We know exactly what he's feeling, what he's going through, and this, that, and the third. And that's what makes the final part of season 3, the moment in the beach, so impactful because we know exactly why he is feeling what he's feeling. But when you put that into the perspective of Persona 3, it's really hard to organically feel what Makoto is actually feeling because we're not given the time or even the moment to actually delve into Makoto's psyche. Yes, because we played Persona 3, we know that he doesn't necessarily have a care for life because of his past where his mother died or something. But in the second movie, right, when he pauses, we're not necessarily given the emotional conveyance about why Makoto feels the way he does until like much later. So in regards to the final part of the movie 2 where like he hesitates and he doesn't want to kill the shadow because he wants to spend more time with his friends. And again, this is also in regards to the rest of the cast as well. We're not necessarily given a proper time to digest what exactly it is that he's feeling inside of himself in that particular moment to actually empathize with what he's talking about. Why did you hesitate there, even though you know that Shinji's gonna die? It was practically your fault that he died. I
mean, in the movies, it absolutely is his fault.
Yeah, it absolutely is his fault because he hesitated. But why are you hesitating here? The problem is that a lot of the information about why he hesitated there is conveyed through other characters, specifically through Takaya. Takaya talks about how like your life is much more fulfilling because of the dark hour. And that rings true for Makoto, but we're not given the moment to understand that Makoto actually agrees with him, right? It's mostly left up. It's not like left up in the air, right? But it's mostly implied.
Yeah, because they never talk to each other. They never have a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, so like a lot of usually whenever there's like a character explored focus in an anime, a lot of it tends to be done not just through the characters' inner dialogue, but through the dialogue and the characterization through other characters. So like when you watch Monster, you've seen all of Monster, right?
Seen it, read it, yeah.
Yeah, so Johan specifically is a mystery. Why is he a mystery? Because nothing is ever conveyed about him. But if Johan is the focus, then that means that every character, every theme in the story, and every single thing that happens in the story has to do with him in some kind of way. And that's what led to my video, Johan did nothing wrong. Spoiler alert, yes, he did do a lot of wrong. It's just a bait title, okay? But it explains why Johan does what he does, and it kind of leads it gives answers to a lot of questions that people have. It's the same thing with Eren Yeager. Why did he do the rumbling? Why did he cry over Mikasa? All that stuff, right? So then when you compare those things to Persona, why does Makoto feel this way? That answer is given to you through Takaya. How does Eren come to the How does Makoto come to the resolution in the movie 3? That's conveyed through both Junpei and Chidori, like their moments together. That's conveyed through both of them. It's not necessarily conveyed through Makoto himself, right? Why does it have to be conveyed through other characters? I feel that because the movie is so short, they had to find any way they could to just shoehorn it in to just somehow make it make sense. And I feel like, yes, it does make sense if you look at it in an analytical perspective. But is it empathizing enough to the viewer? I don't think so at all.
Not really.
I think it would strike true if we have the emotional resonance with the character, and I feel that the Persona movies don't necessarily have that. I actually feel like this is an issue with a lot of video games that get adapted into an anime, like Nier Automata, for example, or even like what are other video games that got adapted into an anime? Corpse Party is one. Corpse Party is one. But that series is fucking stupid.
That's stupid, really. and that just expanded way more than it needed to.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's
it's so bloated. It's so bloated.
Dude, when the second game came out, and it was just like, oh my god, it was all a dream. Oh, we're going through school again, just like in my dream. Okay. Oh, we're gonna tear apart this paper mache person, just like in my dream, that caused the whole thing. Well, I mean, I think that's a bad idea, but okay. And they do it, and they're back in the fucking school, the haunted motherfucking place. Like, what? Are you kidding? You stupid ass. You're fucking stupid. Anyway, so back to relevant topic, Persona 3. I feel that. What the fuck was I even getting into? Oh yeah, video game adaptations. What's another video game adapted anime besides Persona? That you can think of.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me go to my thinking friend Google real quick.
Maybe I'll look at it myself as well. Video games adapted into anime. Castlevania is not a good example because Castlevania does everything right that I complain about. Like they allow you to delve into the emotional aspect of a character. I love the Castlevania series. It's so good.
Oh, I like to do. Would you like Nocturne?
I haven't finished Nocturne actually.
Ooh, okay. Nocturne just has a big pacing issue, but I like it for the most part.
Oh, and here's a good example. Final Fantasy VII: Advent Children. I mean, that movie is essentially just a huge fan service fucking movie for people who never saw Final Fantasy VII in 3D. Obviously, we have the remakes now, but when Advent Children came out during the PS2 era, that shit was fucking huge. Like, oh, we can finally see Cloud that's not blocky polygons or whatever, but there's a lot of things going on in the movie that we have no idea about because, like, we're not necessarily given the emotional frame or even the personal dialogue frame of Cloud or Tifa or whatever.
No, Rufus especially. Oh, yeah. You got no idea what's going on with him.
yeah, right. But a lot of that is explained in the book. Why? Because the book is mostly speaking in a first-person sense with characters, so we can understand what the hell they're talking about. But in the movie, who the fuck is this kid? Did Tifa and Cloud have a kid or whatever? I don't know. But why does Cloud feel the way he does? He saved the world. Why is he all bent out of shape? Why is Tifa bent out of shape? What's going on here? We have no idea, right? Anyway, I don't mean to beat up the dead horse, the point of the dead horse, but that's what I'm going at here with Persona.
Alright, so let's get back on topic. Right now.
Absolutely, I agree.
Alright, so next question. Unrelated to Persona. Like, I checked out your channel and saw that you had a video about Monster, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, it's by Naoki Urasawa. So I gotta ask, did you ever get into Billy Bat?
I want to. I am actually in the middle of reading 20th Century Boys.
You're in for a treat. You're in for a treat.
Really, I'm expecting. I'm having high expectations because a lot of people have said that it doesn't end good, or it doesn't end. So here's the thing. People said in 20th Century Boys. Now, don't spoil anything for me, by the way.
I won't.
They said that the ending is dog shit because it doesn't necessarily wrap things up. But to be fair, they had that same criticism about Monster, and I love the ending of Monster. I feel it's perfect. It's great, and I just I hate to sound pretentious here, but people who generally have that opinion about Monster specifically, they don't really understand what Monster's about. They don't get it. They just don't. And that's like why I made that 2-hour video. I'm like, here's why Monster is great. You know.
I don't fully get Monster, but I like uncertainty. I like uncertainty as an ending.
I mean, yeah, sure. The ending itself on the surface is uncertain, but when you like understand like the grand theme of Monster and all the nuances within the story, the ending becomes a bit more direct than you think, right? So, you don't have to put this in an interview, but I'll explain it to you. In the ending of Monster, or in Monster in general, the whole thing about Johan's character is that he is not a human. He's a monster. So, for example, when Lunge went to his room, he's like, this room is completely void of human life, of human interaction. There's nothing here going on that tells me that a person was here, right? Because Johan is under the perception that he is not human, and he needs to make sure that no trace of him exists in the world, because he's a person that should not exist, right?
Okay.
So in the end of Monster, what do you see in the bed? You don't see Johan, but you see traces of his existence. That means that Johan finally sees himself as a human, as somebody that's worth living life. And he escapes, and presumptuously, he is living life as a human at this point from now on. That's the point that it's trying to get across. If Johan was out there trying to kill people again, that bed would be perfectly made with no human evidence that a human was there ever. But there is, because Johan is human at this moment. Now at this point, Johan sees himself as a person.
Okay, damn, I gotta go read Monster. I gotta go reread Monster now.
Just watch my video. Official plug. Watch my video.
Watch it, yeah. Now this is going in my interview video, yeah, because this is one of my questions I had here. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you're gonna feel about the endings of 20th Century Boys then.
Okay, I'll take your word for that, but I gotta finish it. I'll get back to you.
It's so weird. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
I love weird endings. Why do you think people love Evangelion? Like,
I have not touched Evangelion like with a 10-foot pole. I have not touched it once. I'm scared to touch it. Let
me tell you, episode 25 of Evangelion, which is the last episode of the anime, is going to fucking leave you in such a confusion state. You're like, what the fuck happened? We're fighting robots. What the fuck? Like,
is that the thing where it's literally like sticky notes like on a board or something?
It is sort of like almost like a PowerPoint presentation, like really badly drawn stuff. But honestly, I love it. It's my favorite part of Evangelion. I don't care about the movie that like is like a better conclusion to the series. I don't care about that. I love episode 25. Not gonna get into that. Watch it. Let me know when you do. We can totally talk about it another time.
Like when I do an Evangelion video, I'll call you.
Alright.
Alrighty, but yes, now big question here. Why does Persona 3 work best as a video game?
Oh man, here it is. The meat of the question. Alright.
Yeah.
So if you think I'm going on a long tangent then, it's gonna be a long one now. But I'll try and make it quick.
No, don't make it quick now. Draw this out. Make me suffer when I have to edit this.
Oh shit! All right, here we go. Just like you asked. Okay, so do you know that meme that goes around about Persona, where it's just like this might be a bit graphic, right? But for YouTube anyway, you know that the meme where it's just like, oh yeah, call me senpai again. Almost there. Like, whatever. Like yeah, we get what it's implying, right? It's sort of like a parasocial escapism tactic that people use to feel like they are what they're not. Mm-hmm. And again, in respect to the meme, yeah, that's a pretty derogatory way to explain Persona, but in regards to Persona, it's true. Not true in the derogatory sense. It's true in the sense that it's a form of connectivity that we feel with the characters. That is very, very important, especially for Persona 3. So before I get into that, Persona 3, the theme of Persona 3 is about death. They make that very clear in the very beginning of the game. Even before you start the game, they tell you like Memento Mori, remember you will die, right?
Remember you are mortal, remember you will die, yep.
Yes, exactly. So the theme of the entire story is about death. But some people might miss that when they play the game because they're just like, oh, I'm just a fucking schoolboy going on dates with all these girls and fucking being the hero of the world and
listen to
hanging
rap
out,
every night. Yeah,
hanging out with the boys. I said, hey, whatever. Sometimes you miss the very idea of what it is that the story is actually trying to convey to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
The story is trying to tell you that friendship itself and life is fleeting, and you have to hold on to those things because eventually it will all disappear, right?
Yeah, like at the end of every social link ends with a promise to meet again.
Right? So when you play Persona 3 and you realize these things, a lot of things about Persona actually makes a lot of sense in a narrative sense, right? Like, why is it that every character goes through growth in Persona 3 especially? Why is it that the main bad guy isn't Takaya? It isn't we'll get into Takaya in a second, but the main bad guy isn't Strega. It isn't the chairman, but it's death itself. Why is it that death is the main antagonist of the story if death is the overall theme of the game? Because so this is where we get into Strega. Strega is essentially C's. If C's loses the will to fight, which this has to do with the bad ending of Persona 3. So Strega, Takaya, is essentially a cautionary tale for our main characters of what your life can devolve into if you lose all meaning. But in Persona 3, especially after Shinji dies and whatever, Shinji's also like the middle, the bridge between having meaning and almost losing meaning. Of course, obviously, Shinji was on the tether of whether he could fall to Strega or fall to C's, and eventually, obviously, we know he falls to C's when he saves Ken's life. So, this is where death comes into play. Why is death the antagonist of the story if death is never escapable? In the moments when everyone's like, oh, I'm so scared, like, there's nothing we can do. Like, you mentioned this in your video, they're basically devolving into what they were when the game started. Yukari's like not eating and not socializing. Fuka feels like she can't talk to anybody. Akihiko feels helpless, just like he did when he had that first regret of his life with his sister. And Ken is angry and he feels powerless, and Mitsuru doesn't feel confident anymore, and Junpei is aimless, wishing a death wish, this, that, and the third. I'm repeating everything that you said here. Right? But then when they find the resolve to live, I think you even said this too, when you find the reason to live, only then can you face death itself. So the whole reason why death is the antagonist is because, sure, death is unavoidable, but death doesn't have to be feared, because your reason for living can make you face death with confidence, right? But now we go into the answers, and the answers is actually the big part about why I love Persona 3. When I played Persona 3, I fucking loved the journey. The journey was, well, a fucking journey, man.
A journey, changed my life.
I went through so much fucking shit when I played Persona 3, and let me tell you, I felt so connected to the characters. A huge reason why people like Persona, and why I like Persona, is because of the social link. I do not give a fuck about the dungeon exploration, because, let's be real, the dungeon exploration in Tartarus is fucking awful. It's really, really bad. I don't care about the RPG grinding. I don't care about that. I care about going out, hanging out with the boys, and experiencing their story. And that's like where the meta of it comes in. So back to the meme, like, oh my god, yeah, call me senpai one more time, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. The whole reason behind this is that the main character, Minato, or Makoto in this sense, he's called Minato in the game, is supposed to be you. He's not a character. He's a blank slate because you are supposed to form the character based on the choices that you make. That's entirely the reason why you are in control of his every choice. Of course, maybe sometimes it doesn't matter because but even the game, its narration, it's in second. The original Persona 3, its narration is in second person. You decide to go to bed. You decide to wake up. You decide to, etc. and etc. What do you do? Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's some there's some restrictions involved, right? But at the end of the day, you are supposed to be that main character. When these characters are socializing with you and talking with you, it's meant for you. They're talking with you. And you are responding to them, obviously based on the choices the game restricts you to, but you are responding in a way that you directly choose to respond. And in a sense, you are developing actual meaningful, not like meaningful, I don't mean to say meaningful, but I mean, I'm going to say meaningful anyway, but you're developing like meaningful relationships with these characters, these fictional characters, right? Like you are developing an actual empathizing connection with these characters. Why? Because you're exploring their entire story. You're exploring how they are as characters, right? We're speaking not even just the side characters, but Mitsuru, Akihiko, I guess especially, Fuka, Yukari, Ken, all of it, right? So the focus on this is that you are the main character of this story. And death is the overall theme of Persona 3. But what does the answer do? The answer fucking kills you. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. It's just like, yeah, he's dead. And when I heard that, I said, what? Like, what? He's dead? How? How is he dead? Right? And I was, at first, I was fucking pissed. I was like, how the fuck is the ending of the journey gonna be him falling asleep and have a happy ending, and then he's dead? How does that make sense? I'm gonna let you answer that. How does that make sense, Zamen or Zamen?
Like when you're first playing it, it really doesn't, because you're like, wait, he beat death though. Why is he dying? I thought he won. He took an attack called death and lived. But then when you think about it more, it's more like because I agree that I like the fact that he dies. I hope they never change that he's dead. That he's not going back. But
yeah, I didn't play Reload, so I don't know if it changes now. I don't think it does, but I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, they didn't change it in Reload. He still dies. When the answer comes out, I pray to God that they don't change the damn thing.
Wow. Well, I didn't even play Reload. You spoiled it for me, but I mean, I was pretty sure that was how it happened anyway.
Yeah.
I plan on playing Reload eventually, but don't spoil anything else for me.
Like, I played Reload over the course of like the past 4 months between classes in college, which was brutal because I was being drip fed it basically.
Well, that's always a good thing. So it really felt weird to me that the main character just suddenly dies for what seemingly is no reason, right? And to be fair, it is kind of no reason. If he defeated death, why is it that he's dead? The story towards the end doesn't necessarily imply heavily or explicitly imply that you're dying. Sure, you're tired for some reason, and this, that.
Everyone says you look sick, and like, yeah, you're lethargic apparently.
Yeah. But like, I mean, to me, I'm just like, I'm just tired. I'm just gonna go to bed. Like, unless it says you died, right, at the end of the journey, then I'm just going to assume that I'm just asleep. But when you play the answers and you figure out that you're dead, obviously you're going to be confused. Why the fuck did you die? But the thing is that when I first played through the answers, I was genuinely very upset. Because I was so focused on the question of why. Why did the main character die, right? Why did the main character have to die? And I was scrutinizing over that question for fucking months. Like, why? For the longest time, I would always tell people, yeah, the answer sucked. The answers was dumb. It doesn't really fucking do anything to the story. But I was wrong. The answers is actually the best part of the fucking game. And
look, I was Yukari in the answer. I wanted to bring him back when I first played it.
Oh, no. Believe me, right? Me too. But I want you to hold on to that thought.
Ooh, okay.
You were like Yukari. You wanted him to come back. Why is that, though? Why? Because, let me retract for a second here. I suddenly started realizing that the answers actually tops off the theme of death. It doesn't necessarily convey... Okay, I'm sorry, let me roll back for a second here. If I could describe to anybody the perfect example, or the perfect quintessential example of the theme of death of any medium, whether it be a movie, a story, a video game, anything, Persona 3 does it the best. It does it the best. No questions asked. I cannot think of any source of, I can't think of any story that conveys death the way that Persona 3 does. And the answers is the focus here. Why does the answer conveys death better than most stories? And the answer is strictly because of the way that the game is designed. And the game is designed in a way that the main character is supposed to be you. You are the main character. You socialize with these characters. You make the choices with these characters, and you build the relationship, a personal connection with these characters. So when you play the answer and you're dead, there is a huge disconnect in the way that you play the game, or the way the characters interact with each other, or for the lack of interaction with you, right? Because you're controlling Aigis at this point. You're not controlling the main character that's supposed to be you. So when you're talking with all these people and you're seeing them go through all this anguish over your death, you died. Not Makoto, not Minato, Zamen, or Leovoid. We died to them, right? So we're seeing them go through grief, going through all of this anguish because we are no longer with them.
And life just carries on.
We're right here. I'm right here. I'm seeing what these characters are going through, but I can't talk to them. Why can't I not conversate with them? Because I'm dead. I'm dead. It's not that the character himself is dead for a narrative purpose. It's a thematic purpose. We die because they are demonstrating to you what happens after you die. People will lament that you died. People will be upset that you died. People would be so desperate to want to bring you back. But life goes on. Because
and you can't change it.
People move on. I mean, yeah, you could argue that, Makoto becomes Dorkun, and he is stopping death from ever happening, from ever coming back to you guys, and they're like, we can potentially bring him back or something, which they still kind of leave that up in the air. But
Elizabeth brings that up in Arena.
Oh my god, Elizabeth freaking Oko's death, like, bro, why didn't you fight him? Anyway, outside of that, I feel that point is irrelevant to what the game is trying to convey, and the game conveys death very poignantly, I might describe. Because the fact that you cannot communicate with these characters and you are traversing the game as Aigis, it almost feels like you are no longer playing the game as you were when you were playing the journey. It's no longer a personal experience. It is now a story that is being driven the way that it's meant, the way the characters are meant to be, like, taken to the story. You're not in full control of it at all. And that's because you are no longer a part of this world. So the ending of the answers is essentially accepting the fact that some things come to an end. It's the original theme of the story. All things come to an end. Remember that you will die. So your relationship with these characters are going to come to an end when the game is over. You have to face that reality. That they are going... It's almost like you are leaving a whole actual real life. That these characters will go on with their lives and do whatever at the end of the series. At the end, they walk off into the sunshine and they leave the dormitory, and who knows what happens to them after that. But let's ignore Arena for a second here, okay?
We don't talk about Akihiko in Arena, we don't talk about him.
Like who knows what happens here, right? But it's the whole idea that you have to say goodbye. You have to leave these people to be on their own, to have their own lives, because you are no longer a part of their lives. And why is that? Not just because you died essentially in the story, but because the game's over. You're moving on to other things. You're playing other video games, you're hanging out with other people, and this, that, and the third. But more so than that, it kind of gives you a very bittersweet example of what death is all about. And I feel like a lot of stories doesn't necessarily facilitate what death is all about. When people talk about death, they talk about just mainly when people die, like the end of life. But they don't necessarily talk about what happens after you die. Like what does it feel like? What would it feel like to you if you died and you knew how people felt about your death? Like if you were like a looming spirit, for example. Persona 3 The Answers does all of that. And it does it so well that it almost feels like a complete fucking package of death itself. I fucking love Persona 3, man. I love Persona 3. Like, that, the answers, I initially hated it, but when I look at it in this perspective, it actually makes me fucking love it. The Persona 3 would not be complete were it not for the answers, and I understand exactly why the developers decided to add the answers later on. Maybe they wanted to add it firstly, but they didn't have enough time. But you know, obviously you have the original Persona 3 that ends with the journey, and then the FES, which has the answers. It makes so much sense when you think about it in the grander scheme of things. I never understood Persona 3 until I looked at it, until I replayed it, and then I looked at the memento mori aspect right in the very beginning. It was in your face the entire time. It was in my face the entire time. But I didn't understand it because I was too upset with the way the answers was. Like, oh, I died? That's fucking bullshit. Of course it's just bullshit. Of course it's frustrating, because death is a frustrating thing. And I feel like that wraps up why I like Persona 3 as a video game.
Yeah, that's why it's better as a video game.
Absolutely. The movie does not convey that enough.
No, absolutely. That does not even touch that, yeah.
I feel like that might be why they never adapted the answers, but I think that's fine.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, sorry.
That was a lot. I gotta rethink my life after this.
That's what Persona 3 does to you, man.
I changed my life. I became more about, a person that's more talkative.
Yeah, I have to admit, me too. It made me want to socialize with more people. I was definitely more of I was definitely like a loner type before I played like Persona. I don't want to say completely, like I'm not what some would consider antisocial. I am a bit of closed off and reserved, but I would say after I played Persona, it definitely made me want to experience, like, I don't want to say life, but like, I guess just like friendship in general. It made me want to experience it more so than I did before. So there are good things about Persona that I really do enjoy.
There are good things, yeah. Yeah, good things in Persona have been scarce, right? Yeah, been scarce.
Not just death, but I would say that's a huge reason why Persona 3 to me is the best Persona game. Persona 4, Persona 5, they're good, but they don't really strike really as hard enough as Persona 3. Persona 3 just takes it to a whole nother level.
And I guess this brings us now to my last question here, which you've already answered. Which is apparently movie 2 is coming. Question mark. Is there anything you can say about that? It was the first thing you answered.
So yeah, actually, let me share something with you.
A few moments later.
So, if you're noticing, this video file is an hour and a half long. And why is that? Well, that's because the movie's an hour and a half long. But why is this here? Well, I'll show you. I definitely need to change that. But the entire movie is mixed. Like, the sound effects are done. All we need now are the lines. Let's move on to a battle.
Oh, okay.
We didn't add the music. We didn't add the music because I want to personally choose which music goes where and like all that in a third.
Ooh, I like the sound effects.
So let's see, all the way up until like the very end. Like, you can hear the ambience in the background.
There was ice in that cup. What?
I mean, well, maybe there was. I don't know. Usually there is.
I heard the ice cube so distinctly. It was awful.
Right. So I guess just to give you an idea of like where we are with the project, it's basically like 80% done. We just need everybody else to do their lines. We haven't added the lines in yet. And my God, I haven't even done any of my lines yet. But to be fair, Makoto doesn't really talk too much in the second movie.
I mean, he only talks in the fourth movie.
Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can pull up the casting call. I'll give you a bit of a sneak peek about the voices. So we don't have Junpei yet. I'm still looking for a Junpei because it's a hard role to fill. We have a Mitsuru, but she didn't audition in this role, nor did Takaharu or Koromaru. Yukari Takaba is going to be the original. Akihiko Sanada is a friend of mine that is going to get in here. Where's Ken? Ken's one that I really like. Oh, whoops, not apply.
Yeah, apply real quick right now.
I need to make an account. No.
A few moments later.
There we go. Got it. All right, so where's Ken? Okay, here we go. I think it was no. I don't think it was Mustard that we chose as Ken. Who did I choose? And who did I choose Ken again? It was Misty. Misty. Right here.
I've heard a lot about you, Sonic Senpai. You haven't lost a boxing match yet.
What?
I've heard a lot about you, Sonic Senpai. You murdered her! 2 years ago today, October 4th. That was the day my mom died here.
So yeah, very hard to find a good Ken voice.
That sounds perfect. Goddamn.
I know, I love it. Pharaoh's we had to replace, and I think we have him as Kiri Kito. He's a.
Oh God, he sounds like he's in my walls.
Yo, right? Creepy. So just a bit of a. I wanted to see when I cast Pharaoh's. I want to see how he sounds like when he's the older version, Ryoji.
My name is Pharaoh's. It's a pleasure.
Right here.
I'm glad I met you. This must be what it means to be happy.
Perfect. Love to have him as Pharaoh. So, where we are with the movie, it's basically almost done. But I can't say that we're going to release it like this month or next month. It could take a few months depending on how long it takes for people to do their lines. But also, like, redos might need to be done. We might need to remaster some of the sound effects. For example, like that slap needs to be a little bit louder. I actually hired an audio engineer to do this for me, and he finished it just last week. And now the project is in full boom. Now we're full sales ahead. We're going to complete the project. Now the question is, once this is done, do we plan on doing the third and fourth movie? Ideally, yes. But I believe my audio engineer might be working at a studio soon, so he might not be able to take the project up, which means that I would need to find another audio engineer potentially. But again, that's up in the air. But regardless, at this point, yes, we do plan on completing the third and fourth movie because, like I said, we uploaded the first movie 10 years ago. I can't believe it's been 10 years ago since we did it. And throughout those 10 years, not a day went by where I didn't think to myself, man, I really regret not finishing this project, right? And just, I was going through some stuff. I was going to college, and because when I did this project, man, I was not fucking working at all. Like I had all the free time in the fucking world. Let me tell you, Oh, actually, let me pull this up. So one of the highlights of that entire moment for me is that when we uploaded the movie, when we I guess you could say when we premiered the movie, we actually had somebody in the Persona group live stream the movie to like a lot of people. Like a lot of people were watching it on the live stream when the movie dropped. These are like, I have a folder of like all the snapshots I've taken of like memorable moments of the Persona project. Don't mind that. That's the voice actor for Shinjiro, the real dude. And I forgot why we did this, but we did this.
I can't see what you're talking about. I can't see what you're talking about.
Oh, you're not watching the stream?
I'm on the stream, yeah, but it's just a picture of Akihiko right now.
Oh, sorry. Let me share my screen. Here you go. That's the voice actor for Shinji. What else do we have here? their Persona 3 movie done by a fan dub and better than the Aniplex dub. That tell you something. Yeah, take that Aniplex. Yeah, I took some snapshots of this. Like, oh yeah, like compliments, things that make you feel good. But oh yeah. Ryoma is actually our Jin in the Persona, the second movie. So this is when I asked him if he wanted to be Jin. It's like, I come bearing a request. I'm listening. You know, whatever. So in this part of the movie, this is where it was live streaming together too. Look at that, 2015 at the bottom right. Holy fuck.
Oh dear God, that's terrifying how long that was. How long ago that was.
I know. So this is the part where Akihiko says, "I've been waiting for this," and the entire chat blew up. They're like, "Oh my God, he said it!" Like, yo, director's on point with the sound direction. I've been waiting for this. This crazy mofo's back. Blah blah blah. There's a bunch of other stuff. What happened here? I think this is the movie getting pinned on Discord recently. Yeah, this is when I re-uploaded the project. I took more pictures of it. What was this one? Oh, this is the old YouTube layout. Look at that! When I uploaded it on August 2015, the Persona Project channel that's obviously terminated because of the movie. But yeah, it had like 15,000 views when it first released and 538 likes. Now it almost has 100,000 views, so we definitely improved from that point. I even had plans for after we finish the third movie. Yeah, I was pretty ambitious at this point. I had plans to finish the second film in August, starting August, and then October, November, because I'm pretty sure we released the first film in August, right? Yeah, August 16th, and I was going to finish the second film in August of November. So, funny story, I actually finished mixing the second film completely at this point, but because like the copyright happened and voice actors fell off, I just scrapped the whole thing. Little regretful of that.
Well, copyright doesn't seem to be an issue right now, at least.
Yeah, right. At least it's finished now. So more like people talking in chat about the movie. This was like such a huge moment for me. Like it was such a special moment to have so many people. I forgot how many people were watching it, but to have so many people just in there watching something that I worked I sweated my blood off day and night for this project to be good, and it was received very well. You know, just seeing all these people talk about it just really Persona 5 anime opening, okay. Just seeing all these people talk like so much about it just really warmed my heart. It was a very, very good moment that I hold very dearly. And you know, Persona did that for me. I love Persona. Oh yeah, and everyone's like, yo, Toaster Time, she's back, I just and whatnot. What else do I have here? Oh yeah,
Fatal Frame?
Live streaming. Yeah, you knew it was Fatal Frame. You cultured person, you. Yeah, somebody was doing Fatal Frame. Just some screenshots of people complimenting the work. I didn't even know that this thread happened in Reddit, but someone made a thread about the project or whatever. Yeah, great stuff. But yeah, someone made this template for me when we first released the movie. People sharing the project, blah 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 blah. There we go. This is when the screams of the subway came in.
Oh my.
The title of the picture is "What It's Like to Have Me as a Director."
Fuck! Shit! God!
I just put in your redo screens and they were so beautiful and moving and powerful and clear and fuck and shit and God, I just love it so. Like, yeah, that's pretty much it. I would say, if anything, expect a trailer or a teaser to be released this month. That's the only promise I can give you.
That's exciting.
Thank you. I'm glad you're excited for it. I hope you look forward to it.
I will be, yeah. That was great getting to talk to you. This was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's very flattering to have someone talk to me about it, you know? I mean, I'm always happy to talk about anime and stuff, but it's really flattering to have someone talk about, like, you know, the projects that I worked on and my opinions on things. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man. That's why when I saw you, when you first upload, like literally the first 5 minutes when you uploaded your video, I saw the notification on my channel that you mentioned it to me, and I saw the beginning, and I was like, oh crap, this guy mentioned me in his video. Wow. And then I kind of got busy for a month with work, and then I was like, I really need to watch this video, and then I watched it and commented on it just the other day. But the tab was open for the longest time out of the 200 tabs. Let me tell you.
I feel so honored. I feel so honored.
And I went back to it. Oh man. Well, anyway, I'm starving. I need to get dinner.
Alright, yeah, well, go eat. I'm not gonna keep you long. Go eat, go.
You have a good night, man. Thanks a lot for having me.
You too. Ta-ra. And that was the end of the interview. I very much do want to thank Leovoid for taking those 2 hours to talk with me about Persona 3 and his fan dub, of which I am very much looking forward to the second movie being dubbed. Also, by the way, if you're wondering where my Ishigami from Kaguya-sama Love is War video went, yeah, that got copyright claimed. I tried appealing it, and no, they gave me a strike for that. So, yeah, I'm gonna be cooling off discussing anime characters till the strike expires in a few months, so you can expect some more video games and TTRPG stories for the near future. Anyway, I have been a Zamen, and thank you very much for watching this video. And consider sticking around if you don't hate my voice. My sole goal here is to improve my writing, editing, and speaking as I go on. Goodbye.